Hello and welcome back to PowerWash Simulator. When we last left off, we were still cleaning the subway truck. And we're gonna continue on with that. I forgot how big of an undertaking this area was. Nope, let's do it that way. And I think the first time I played through here, I ended up taking quite a while, but to be fair, I think I was in the middle of doing something else while I was playing. So, yeah. This is a huge area, and it's gonna take a ton of time to get done correctly. But let's make sure we're getting all of the little nooks and crannies and bits and bobs and all that. Because there's nothing worse than doing all that work only to realize that you've missed a big swath of stuff, and the irony is not lost on me that I am in the wrong track. We'll go right back to that. I'm actually trying to remember what I was doing when I first played through here. I think I might have been working and just kind of waiting for something to do. That's the kind of job I had. Unfortunately, it wasn't exactly conducive to just kind of picking up the work and doing it. It was a very task-oriented job. And I know that sounds a little silly, but trust me when I say it was an experience. Specifically, the part where the way we got paid was based on the hours worked, and yeah, I know that sounds standard, but to clarify, when I say hours worked, I do mean when you worked on a project, you were allowed to clock hours then. And you were only allowed to clock hours when you were working on a project. So there would be times where I would be working or waiting for work rather. And because I was just waiting, I wasn't clocking any hours, so I could sit and I could log into my computer for work at like 8 a.m. and still not leave my computer until 5 p.m. despite the fact that I was only supposed to be working 4 hours a day. I was working 16 hours a week. And I feel like I've told this story before, but I was working 16 hours a week, but I would often be at my computer for up to 36, something like that. It was some absurd number, despite the fact that, I was only supposed to be available for that 16. And that's what, like, as much as I kind of liked certain aspects of that job, I actually hated quite a lot of it, because it's like, this is a really weird structure, and I can't say that I love it. But, moving on. There we go. Let's move on to this line. And of course, we have just a hair more left on the on the floor. And then we'll move on to, I think we're gonna just go for broke on this one. I think we're just gonna clean this side of the tunnel completely. And let's see. Yeah, I think we're just gonna clean this side of the tunnel. This side. Before we move on to the other one. Hold, please. Okay. Where was I? We were continuing to clean the oil. You know what? Let's change the hue. It'd be nice if they just had a degreaser. Let's see. I think what we want is, there we go. Alright, so now we're gonna switch back. There we go. We're closer to this end, so we'll start here. But actually, that brings me, it's a very awkward segue, but it brings me to the question of the day. And today's question is, what is your favorite superhero? I myself am rather partial to a very well written Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. I've liked Spider-Man for years. And having grown up in the 90s, I did also, watch the animated series that came on. I don't know where it all aired, but here in the US, it aired on Fox Kids. And I know for a lot of people outside of the US, Fox is kind of synonymous with, well, not kids shows, but, yeah, no, Fox Kids was kind of where a lot of stuff aired. If I'm remembering correctly, it's also, I know Batman, the animated series, aired there. And Spider-Man and the X-Men series. If you've ever seen that gif of Wolverine slicing... Oh, place. Right. Okay. Where was I? I think I was saying about the gif of Wolverine. Yeah. If you've ever seen the gif of Wolverine, like, slicing lunch meat with his claws, or the the image of him longingly looking at a picture of Jean Grey, that's the series it came from. It was, in fact, absolutely ridiculous, and it is the reason why I cannot watch another animated series of X-Men. It's because the sound of Wolverine's voice in that series is definitively the sound of Wolverine in my head. And as is the case, actually, this light is still. Okay, man. There we go. I just wanted to make sure I was getting that. But yeah, the guy who did his voice is definitively the Wolverine in my head. And before anybody asks, no, I don't. No, not even Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is a fine actor, but he is actually technically he's too tall to be Wolverine. Wolverine is, I think, canonically like 5'2". He is supposed to be short. Like, he is actually genuinely supposed to be short. I'm gonna save that. Let's come back to that. And actually, oh, no, we're already good. I never changed off of it. But yeah, no, like, Hugh Jackman is actually technically too tall for Wolverines. Because Wolverine is canonically a short king. There's a, I don't know who did them, but there was, or is, a series of strips where Wolverine is effectively drawn wider than he is tall, and it's very hilarious. And thinking about it now, speaking of Wolverine, because I do like Wolverine, don't get me wrong, he isn't my favorite hero, and also, I would, generally speaking, not consider Wolverine a hero. He is, at best, an anti-hero. Or an anti-villain, or he... His methodology is questionable at best. He is, in fact, the best at what he does. And what he does is ripping people to shreds. But I remember when they announced that they were going to kill him off, which I think they've since brought him back. But it was because he had reached such a saturation point that he was appearing in multiple books at his peak. You know, he had his book. He was still an X-Men. He was in, you know, like 50 other books as well, and it's like, maybe cut back on the Wolverine just a little, just a hair, so people aren't tired of him. That's kind of what they did. Like, they stripped him of his healing factor, which, by the way, is actually absurd. But they stripped him of his healing factor, and then they slowly killed him. Actually, really interesting choice. Not mad about it, mind. We'll come back for the... Looks so much better. We'll come back for the billboards. There we go. But, like, by the time he showed up in Miss Marvel, he had lost his healing factor. She actually, like, comments on it, too. If you've ever read the first few issues of Miss Marvel, it gets brought up, because he does show up, and it's really neat, and it jokes about him just being, you know, dangerous, but he isn't quite what he was anymore. Good stuff. Of course, continuing on the subject of superheroes, I also like a well-written Superman. Batman can be really interesting with well-written as well. I have not seen a ton of well-written Batman, rather. But the fanon version of Batman, if we're going to get into fandom, the fanon version of Batman can actually be really interesting, because they play him as this sort of... I did clean the light, okay. They play him in such a very interesting way, and I am personally of the opinion that, like, Bruce Wayne is very aware of who he is, and very aware of the effect that he has, and would be using that power and money and influence to actually make changes in Gotham. He wouldn't just be some dude fighting street-level crime in high-tech armor. I actually kind of hate that idea, of him just being some dude fighting mooks in armor. Because I think he would realize pretty early on that a lot of the mooks are doing crime not because they necessarily want to, but because they don't have any recourse left. And yeah, of course, you're gonna get that person who's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a criminal because being a criminal means I get to be terrible. But generally speaking, I feel like most people are like, I mean, crime isn't my first choice. I refuse to believe that that's the way most people are. And of course, then you have Joker, who is more... I'm not quite sure how to explain Joker. But I would like to state for the record that, like, Joker is very, very much aware of himself, because, like, there is, in fact, an issue, and I believe it is actually technically canon, of Joker, he ends up with this large sum of money, but it's a tax issue, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure that he's, like, the taxes are, like, it has something to do with taxes and something to do with the IRS, and he's like, I'm crazy, but I don't mess with the IRS. The IRS is the one organization that I don't mess with. And with good reason, because if you know, you are unaware, rather, the IRS is the reason that Al Capone got taken down. Because he was not paying his taxes. And far be it from me to advocate for crime or criminal enterprise, But if you're going to be doing less than up and up stuff, if you maybe pay your taxes. The IRS generally doesn't care where the money comes from, just that they get paid. Excuse me. Uh, it's actually really hilarious. The thought of Al Capone, one of the most well-known gangsters in American history, being laid low by a guy in a suit and tie coming to like give him a bill. Like, hey, hi, yes, Mr. Capone. It seems here, according to our records, you have not paid your taxes since this arbitrary date. Can you maybe do that? I just now I kind of want to see a comic or a series where it's literally just you know, an IRS tax agent going around dealing with villains. That sounds like it could be potentially very good if done correctly. But, you know. I'd be inclined to write it myself, but I I feel like my sense of humor wouldn't do it justice. I think maybe somebody else should write it. I would even be willing to, when the money comes my way, commission somebody to. But, you know, there we go. Yeah. That cable is good. That cable is good. So now we clean the billboards. Driving me nuts. 1984 will be the year we go off-road. Grand Caldera Productions. Oh, the subway was reopened again following the extensive replanting in 1923 by Mayor Jeff Jefferson the 11th. It closed again following fall after the shocking revelation that Wilberforce Trust had been using it to funnel train tracks full of stolen money out of town. That feels. The money was never recovered. Of course it wasn't. This feels vaguely Herbie the Love Bug-ish with the eyes. Arthur Brain, Derek Degas. Starring Esther Diaz, Lawrence Dufer, co-starring Grisham Stakes, Miriam Gloat, Portland Bay, Derek Degas, Arthur Brain, production design, Ivory Detail. What does that say? Produced by Githing Dunn. Written by Lexicon. Original concept by Esther Diaz. directed by Faustina Trist. Oh, there you go. I really hate cleaning stuff with graffiti on it because it's like you lose so much neat stuff. It also makes me wonder when this game takes place because these billboards are for 84. Kevin Bernard's Fun Fair. Okay. Yeah, no, like I am very curious to see when this game is supposed to take place. Oh, we got a cat. 24th Dirt Championship. Hey, this looks familiar, doesn't it? So maybe the aughts? Maybe the game is supposed to take place in the aughts? The early 10s? Sometime in the 10s? I'm trying to remember when it said that the game is supposed to take place. Catman, Dirty, Always Lies. Yep. Yeah, because, like, the subway is supposed to have been closed for years. So it is curious to know when when the game is supposed to be taking place. There we go. Alright. This political advert is sponsored by the Jeff Jefferson 12th, 1984 election campaign fund. Jeff Jefferson 12th would like to make it clear that he is talking metaphorically about cleaning up the city and that he has no intention of getting his expensively tailored knees and scrubbing the city or any kind of manual labor for that matter. Of course. Okay. So let's come back over here and clean this. We gotta get the platform ceiling clean, and we gotta get the lights as well, so we can see better. It was really nice cleaning up the lights, though. Something very cathartic about it. Maybe because it just makes it so much easier to see. But I'm also thinking about stuff I want to see now that the WGA the WGA strike is tentatively over, which is amazing news. SAG-AFTRA is still in fact striking, and more to it, not only is SAG-AFTRA striking, the voice actors have done a strike authorization vote, and the vote came in at, I think, like 98%. So it is very likely that voice actors will be striking. Which is a shame, because it's like, no, they shouldn't have to be striking. Nobody should have to be striking, but, you know, that's like, unfortunately, the nature of the thing. I'm hoping they don't strike, because I don't like. They don't want to strike. They don't want to have to strike. Nobody wants them to strike, but they do want their fair shake, and it is only fair that they get it. Oh, didn't realize that was so dirty. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah, and as bummed as I would be about a strike, I am more bummed that they have got to a place where they need to. Um, I do not know what the conditions for not crossing the picket line would be, because there is no official strike news yet, but I will be sticking to it as best as humanly possible. I think the strike applies to newer games, maybe? I'm not sure. But again, like I said, there is no official strike announcement yet, and I will be looking out for that, especially in regards to the channel. I do not believe in strike. I do not believe in scabbing. Oh, that's good. I do not believe in scabbing. I am not a fan of scabs, and do not support them. And before anybody says, I would like it to be known that I understand that people are often put in positions that they don't want to be in. I think I need... Yeah. Let's do that. There we go. There we go. We'll just leave the ladder there, so if we need to get it again, we can. But like I said, I understand that a lot of people are often put in positions that they don't care to be in. And I think a lot of people understand that. But I feel like people come at the angle of scabs and scabbing. It's like, oh hey, if the stuff is still gonna get done, well, the whole point here, the whole point of a strike is to put pressure on the employer to make sure that everyone is being fairly compensated. It's not just that one handful of people. It's, you and me and the guy down the street and a million other people as well. Also, incidentally enough, if you watched any of the news around the end of the strike, because I'm recording this as the tentative deal is has been announced. So this video won't go up until early October. So a couple of weeks after the fact. Um, but you have a lot of... You had Drew Barrymore, who decided that she was going to resume filming her show and got ripped to shreds about it, to the point where she, like, walked it back. She, put up this like really terrible apology about this, that, and the other, and ended up walking all of it back and putting off the recording of her show until um, until the strike was over, because she actually she actually employs WGA represented writers on her show. And a lot of people have actually speculated that her backing down and supporting the union is the reason why this deal happened in the first place. Because she walked her decisions back, and a couple of other shows walked their decisions to resume back. And people kind of saw how effective all of that was, and I think it's like, okay. Also, you knew it was serious because, like, the AMPTP started dealing on a weekend, and they don't do that, apparently. Which, that's generally a sign of things. But in the grand scheme of things, good for them. I'm happy that things have been tentatively accepted. I think things are looking up, and hopefully the SAG-AFTRA strike will follow suit very quickly. I hope it does not take as long as it did for the WGA strike, though. Purely on the merit of, it is really absurd that it took nearly 150 days to get them to like agree to come back, get the AMPTP to come back to the table. Because that was the holdup, the AMPTP. But I think you started seeing cracks around the time that A24 made the announcement that, like, yeah, we have agreed to all of the demands of the WGA, and I think a lot of other studios got really miffed about it. It's like, what are you doing? And like, the right thing? We're doing the right thing. There we go. So, again, hopefully, the voice actors won't have to go striking. But if they do, I will be closely following the rules of the strike, and will not be participating with struck work or working using stuff from struck studios, which means that potentially my plans for my plans for playing any of the games that I've got won't come to fruition. And as much as I enjoy doing this, I also respect the hell out of the voice actors and the producers and all of the other people whose job it is to create the games that I enjoy playing. Mouse. Now we can move on to the other side. Yep, that's all of the pillars, that is all of this side. Because as it turns out, you can't do that. Okay. We are gonna start with this bit of wall and this bit of floor. All that moss. Where does all of that moss come from? It is a concerning amount of moss. That is a whole ecosystem. Where did it come from? Oh, place. Okay. Eventually, I'm going to have to, like, pay the cat tax again, because that's what the interruptions are. He, is very fussy. He needs to be seen to his bowl. And also, now you can hear the neighbors. Okay, I'm very sorry. Today is just very interruption heavy. It's very interesting that I think I want to do. Let's switch to you. Let's do one of these numbers. Oh right, it's like split. Yeah, let's just like clean that up a bit. I don't think switching is necessarily going to help matters. I think we just have to go through the obnoxious job of being patient. Eh. What are we missing? There we go. Let me move over to this side. Trying to rush has gotten me nowhere good. So I have to remember to slow down. It is, in fact, an issue that I have. So, let's slow down a little. You have time. I got another, like, 15 minutes before I have to call it good. I have to consider calling it good. There we go. Of course. Cleaning this wall. I think it was definitely talking about the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, but there's still also the automaker, the UAW strike, and like that's been going for I think like maybe a week now. There we go. Okay. Of course we go about this the way we did the last time. We clean the tracks. But I think I'm gonna go about it differently. I think what I'm gonna do is let's section it off right about here. That way we can just take our time and clean it section by section. Because again, part of the issue is I'm trying to bounce between too many things at once. There we go. And that just ultimately creates more work. It doesn't help. It's a hindrance. And that's a good life lesson for you. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get the work done in a timely manner, but there's a difference. But rushing is only going to create more work. Because then you gotta go back and you gotta fix your mistakes. So take your time and do it right the first time. There's a song I could apply to that situation, but it's about something completely different, and we're not gonna. Because, well, this channel is certainly not for kids. That's broaching the subject of, intimacy, and, not quite. If you know what song I immediately thought of, grab yourself a cookie and make sure you take your pain meds. How's your back feeling? You good? Okay, good. Okay. Now we get here. There we go. Like, they're not big chunks of space, but it's enough of a chunk that you can take your time and get it done thoroughly. Actually, I should probably... Oh, I'm at it. Clean this bit as well. There we go. But yeah, this is, I don't, 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 like, I've avoided swearing on the channel for the most part. Not because I don't swear. I do. Curse like a sailor. Um, now to be fair, I kind of come by it honestly. Come from very vulgar people. Um, but, I don't know. I don't know why I decided not to swear on the channel. Other than, like, trying to be mindful of the fact that I do swear a lot. And, if every other word is, fuck, you know, is anybody really gonna want to listen? And that, I do believe, is the whole point. Like, and this is also what I meant by taking your time. Um, Making sure that all of the track is clean, getting the undersides, and getting the brackets, the braces, the something, whatever those are. Getting them clean and not having to come back and do it again. Because, again, that's kind of the whole point. Take your time, do it right. Don't have to repeat the process. But it can be a little tricky, because you have the undersides of the tracks, and it makes that a little difficult. And I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm going to finish this little bit of section, and then I'm gonna call it good. Or maybe I will... No, I think that's actually what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna finish this little bit, and then I'm gonna call it good. I don't imagine 10 extra minutes or so is necessarily going to make that big of a dent, because of how long it takes to get some of this stuff clean. And that isn't to say that it isn't possible to get a good chunk done, but if you're being thorough, it does take a while. And actually, you know what? No, I think I am gonna go for that extra 10 minutes. Because I do realize that I'm running in this area a bit longer than I'd intended to. Let's come to right here. This will be our next segment. There. Okay. Which means that we are cleaning there. Ultimately, my goal is getting a reasonable amount done in a reasonable amount of time. I can't say that I've successfully done that, but, also kind of... I know there's an area that's much longer than this. I think it's like the last little bit of the game that's like that area is super long. And despite everything, we do still have a surprisingly large amount of the game left. Um, I've been thinking a bit about Dragon Quest again. I know I said that I'd intended to potentially go back and finish. I'm trying to. The area I left off is basically I need to get a bunch done, and I think I may actually have to go back a little bit in a save because I think I may have missed some stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I was working with a guide primarily because there are areas of the game that are actually really fussy and really tricky to deal with, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing my due diligence. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything critical. I think, should I go back to it, I think I am 100% abandoning the idea of 100%ing the bestiary. Because you have, like, the metal slimes run, their agility is really high, and it takes a lot of work to take one down. It's worth the effort, mind, but it is very much worth the effort because the experience that you get out of them and the money you get out of them is really good, but it's obnoxious. I remember with 8, it was very similar. There was an area you could almost guaranteed grind for them. And it was pretty great, but it was obnoxious because, again, high agility, high defense, like, practically indestructible as far as magic went, and it just got obnoxious. And I know I think I've said obnoxious a few times now. Um, uh, let's. There we go. Oh, that was a bit chuggy. Didn't like that. Make sure we're getting that as well. Yeah, see? Like, uh, I know it's not gonna be like a ton of an issue, ton of problems. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna call it. As a reminder of the question of the day, what is your favorite superhero? But that's what we're going to call it for today. So I have been Dorkanaut. This has been PowerWash Simulator. And when we come back, we are going to continue on with the subway platform. And if you enjoyed this video, or any of the videos in the series, or any of the videos I've ever done, consider leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you know when I upload, even if it is really regular. I also have a Ko-fi. You can find me at ko-fi.com/dorkanaut. That is ko-fi.com/dorkanaut. If you're so inclined to leave a tip, but please do not feel obligated. But yeah. Come see me again sometime, won't you? Bye.